pleasure of being the host and facilitator of the CS for All Teachers community, and we're so glad that you could join it with us tonight. We've had a little bit of a mix-up with our guest, but Deepa will explain that in just a bit. This is just what happens, and we're going to roll with it. As I've mentioned earlier, we do hope that you will either connect with your microphone or by using the call-in number on the screen here. Deepa and Chima have some great things to share with you, but this is more fun when it's interactive. So when we say we want to hear from you, we really mean that. And we do hope that you will chime in and ask your questions, share your ideas, etc. We do ask that when you're not speaking that you mute your line. You should be able to do that either if you're on the telephone, just directly on your phone, or on the top toolbar, there is a telephone or a regular microphone, and you can use a drop-down to mute yourself. And we just ask that you do that if you're not speaking, to cut down on like background noise and pets and kids and everything else, or if you're still at school, the bells that still may be ringing. I will be sticking around to help with any technical issues and just keeping track of what's on in the chat window here. So feel free to send me a message. If you have a question or concern, I'll be happy to help you. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Deepa. Thank you, Deepa.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is our close to our exams preparation for the first APCS Principles exam, and one of the most important topics of our 7 big ideas, the internet. I am excited and honored to introduce Chinma Uche at our webinar today. But before that, I wanted to mention 2 things. One, you know me. I'm a high school teacher here in Atlanta and have been involved with the Computer Science Principles course ever from the beginning. I wanted to thank AIR for giving us this opportunity to really serve the teachers and bring some outstanding guests to these webinar series and provide some really useful information. Today's webinar is on the internet resources that we can use in our classroom to help prepare our students for the AP exam. Joining us is Dr. Chinma Uche from Connecticut, and we were to have Michelle Roberts from Indiana, but unfortunately Michelle could not join us. I think just about an hour ago, she met with an accident and she had to take her daughter to the emergency room. So joining us in the last minute is Pauline Lake. I'm looking to see if Pauline is here online with us. About a minute ago, I heard she was just adding the add-in, and I heard someone in the chat room, Betsy says, hi, Pauline. So Pauline's here with us, and she's going to be first grateful to her for joining in and jumping in, being such a trooper, and we're honored to have her here talking to you all, because I know that she is an incredibly good resource and highly valued in the mobile CSP group. So without further ado, let me introduce Chinma Uche. Chinma is no stranger to anyone in the computer science education teacher community. A staunch supporter for teachers, a mentor among mentors, a leader, the first person to stand up for the teachers or the students, and very passionate about computer science. I've known Chinma for, I don't know, 15 years now. We've done plenty projects together, and it has been my honor and pleasure to consider her my older sister at many times when I've had some really good challenges that I've needed a consultant for. It's exciting to share with you that currently Chinma is a development committee member, so she really has some good insight into how to prepare students better for the AP exam. She's also the president for the CTCSTA chapter in Connecticut, and I think she's also a co-founder, correct me, Chinma, and there is no dearth of the amount of awards that Chinma has won. The most prestigious and recent one is the 2015 CREC Teacher of the Year Award. Chinma, as many as committees as I've seen Chinma work, I've always known Chinmay's work to be of incredibly high quality and very, very accurate and helpful information for the students. So I think everything that she has to say for us today will be very valuable as we go on to teach in the last 3 weeks of school. So without any further ado, Chinma, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. I just want to thank Air for the opportunity and to thank Deepa also for the introduction. I just think we're in an incredible period when with the launch of CS Principal and all the excitement it brings to the classroom. So with CS, we are fortunate to have so many people who are developing resources for us, and there are so many tools out there that we can use. It's an exciting time, and I'm happy to be here. And I just hope we will chat and then be able to help each other go to the next level. Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you, Chinma. I just wanted to show you the slide on Michelle to tell you what a fantastic person and a contributor to the CS community Michelle is, and we will miss her dearly as we talk about Pauline. Pauline is the Mobile CS Project's teaching consultant. She is a great supporter for all the teachers, either in the classroom, at the same time, any issues that might come with Mobile CSP. As all of us might know, Mobile CSP deals with App Inventor, and it is honestly great to have someone who teachers can go to and ask for questions. In my dealings with Pauline, I've had great experience where any question I've asked, within the next 4 to 6 hours, I get a response on top of things, has the answers, knows it to the best of her ability, or works to find the answers for us. She's a 2013 graduate of Trinity College, and she has a double major in computer science and educational studies, a very, very strong combination of degrees. You will all agree with me. She has also been teaching App Inventor to middle and high school students in the Hartford area since 2010. She teaches the Mobile CSP course with mobile phones at Trinity College.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome aboard, Pauline. The floor is yours. So I noticed Pauline is typing as iPod. Yes, we can hear you perfectly. Welcome, Pauline. Thank you so much for joining us and giving this very good opportunity for our teachers to learn more about how to most effectively teach the internet components
the invite as well.
in the classroom. Thank you,
a great introduction, Deepa. And I also am super excited. I'm going to add to that. I'm also a question leader for the first AP CSP reading as well. So I'm super excited to be a part of that.
Great, excellent.
I'm not sure yet.
That's awesome. So you're a question leader for the Create, or are you a question leader for the Explore? Okay, all right. Because I was just thinking that's exciting to know. That's very nice. So you can definitely provide us some really useful information. Okay, so on to our first question. Chinma, would you be able to help us here? Is there a fun activity that you have used to teach the internet big idea that you could probably share with us?
Yeah, like I said before, the CS Principles course is a very exciting course. And more importantly, the Internet Big Idea happens to be one area I had not paid attention to that much before the CSP course. So I found it incredibly exciting, and I found it something that I have had to look at different ways people present it to students. And because I use the mobile CSP projects program, we have a lot of activities that are exciting that people do. and I know all the other projects have theirs. So I'm just going to describe one of our activities, and I hope that it will be something that people can do. I find that in terms of the internet big idea, students like the idea of cyber security. Cyber security in the area of that, just concentrating on what I'm going to talk about is more of along the area of cryptography. As mobile CSP has the internet as the really last chapter, which is Unit 7. And one of the activities there focuses on cryptography at different levels. And each of them is really interactive. And I think that's what makes an activity fun for students. When students can be involved, not just follow directions, but just be also part of it. So we have a lot of interactive activities there. So that involves things like Caesar Cipher. But to start off that section, we have this activity that's borrowed from the CS Unplugged activity. I hope everybody knows about CS Unplugged. And it's called Sharing Secrets. And it's a protocol that's really about how do I get information out of people.
I haven't been home long, but there was a webinar that started at 7.
Of a class without knowing each individual person's age. And what it does is okay. So the activity is really about finding out the average age of a class without knowing each individual's age. In a classroom setting, it's more like because most of them are about the same age, that doesn't work so well. So I modify it to look at like how do you use the students' scores without them knowing their scores. And the course is an activity that involves each individual contributing, so each individual is a part of it. And that activity is simple enough that somebody can look it up. But what it does is you just bring notepads. Give each student a notepad, and they know what their number is. So the first person writes down a number and then adds their score to that number and gives the total to the next person. They add their score and move to the next person. As by the time you get to the end, you subtract the initial number and you divide by the number of people. You work out the average age. The question comes, what does it have to do with the internet? It does have a lot, because what you're trying to tell students there is that it is possible to share information and maintain a high level of secrecy. So you're sharing information that's been used to compute an average, and still you're maintaining a high level of secrecy because nobody knows the other person's age. And you follow it up with all the other methods we do to how does the internet work, how is it we're able to pass information along securely. And those discussions lead other things, and students are really engaged with that activity. That's where one activity I think is very good. But then that deals more with the teaching part of it. Where we are now is a little bit more towards the end of it. I'll continue if you have any other, if you need any more on that.
That sounds really exciting, Shima. I did have a question on this. You said it was a CS Unplugged activity, and you said, can you give us a few search terms, like what would a teacher look for if they're going on the internet and look for this particular activity so that it shows up as a first hit?
If you go to csunplugged.org, CS Unplugged has a lot of, under the activities section, you will find one that's titled Sharing Secrets, / Information Hiding Protocols. and that's really about finding the average age of a group. The algorithm for doing that is really clear, what I try to discuss, but you can visit it again. What it does is you look at the average age, but I suspect that in a classroom setting, everybody will be about the same age, so you have to find something else to use for that.
Sounds excellent. So everybody, as you might have noticed, Pauline just posted the link on the chat window, but do know that, as Melissa mentioned, I usually post on the CS for Teachers website a recap of the webinar, and in there I do list resources, and this one's going to be probably one of the most useful ones, as we have Chinma and Pauline, and then some of Michelle's resources. I will be posting them and categorizing them, the difference between the ones for activities and one for assessments and so forth. I will tell you that one of the fun activities that I have done in my classroom for the internet is the code.org internet simulation. It honestly is one of the it's like a battleship, and you have students log in, and it works seamlessly every time. And we can have them send messages. They understand protocols. They understand handshakes, and they have a lot of fun with it. And I think it's called NetSim, and it's available for anybody who just gets a code.org login, and you can monitor students. So I think that's another real fun activity that you can use for the internet. I will say that among the various curricula that I have seen as a classroom teacher, easily the mobile CSP curricula has one of the strongest set of resources for the internet, which is why I'm totally honored and happy to have Chinma and Pauline here talking to us about the resources that mobile CSP has to offer, or the ones that mobile CSP uses. Pauline, okay. Go on, Chinma.
No, that activity is really our starting activity. Then we go into Caesar ciphers, and then those activities are all interactive. They are things students can log in, and they put in numbers. Like you pointed out, code.org has also good widgets that deal with the same concept. So we find ourselves, I think we are really lucky, because we have so much we can borrow from, and then
absolutely
good activities for our students. The code.org has good widgets also for doing that. Their internet simulation protocol is really great. And then if we combine it, they have also the one that does Caesar cipher. So there is really, you just need to look. They're fun.
Right. One of the resources that I want to absolutely mention before I hand the thing to Pauline is, hand the mic to Pauline, is I will be posting a really fun link to a flash video on how public and private encryption work. It's really short, not more than 2 minutes long, and it's been a flash FLA file, and very nicely explains what public encryption does and what private encryption does. So it's a great one to show students, and so please be on the lookout for that. Betsy had asked for what we would look for, what the term for the activity on code.org is, and that's NetSim, which I have posted on the chat window and will certainly be on the CS4 Teachers website. Passing the mic to Pauline. Pauline, the floor is yours. Would you be able to tell us one of the most fun activities that you have used to teach the Internet Big Idea at the Trinity College? If you use the CSP curriculum, I know you teach App Inventors, so this may not be something you teach in the
course at Trinity
classroom, but I'm
College,
certain you have
which
teachers
is using the
teach
AP
this in their
CSP
classroom.
curriculum. And we use the mobile CSP curriculum to teach that course. And there are two things that I can think of in addition to what Chinma had mentioned. One of those would be, we have a password strength calculator that students seem to enjoy using. It brings up a lot of conversation about passwords and what it means to make a good or an optimal password, and why these sites are putting important requirements for the passwords that you have to choose. So it opens up a lot of discussion. And we do that in other activities based on, we're now using POGL exercises. So the process-oriented guided inquiry learning, to just help facilitate a discussion among the students and relating it back to things that they have done and their experiences, and helping them put words to the experiences that they've had before. With, again, the passwords being one that students use all the time. They have to sign into their school accounts, their emails, very relatable for them, and understanding what's happening and why they need these passwords. Another one that I've done, and perhaps someone else here has a better term for this, is I've actually taken and tried to recreate what happens when you send a packet over the internet. So the process of sending an email and recreating that with the students in the classroom and having them act like routers and following protocol. I'm not sure if there's an actual name for it. I'm sure there must be for that exercise. But that's another one that is letting the students do a hands-on exercise, and again, talking with them about their experiences and relating it back to things that they have done, and giving them the terminology, the proper terminology that goes with those experiences.
That sounds really, really nice. Thank you so much. That is very informative. I have had my students this year for the first time design a program on password string checker, and you're absolutely right, Pauline. They really like it. They wrote it in Python, and it was a nice summative activity because it takes care of using lists and strings and characters, and it definitely gives them a very strong correlation with what they're doing in their classroom. So it's fantastic. So moving on to the next question. So we've already been doing this in terms of covering resources, but I wanted to give the mic back to Chinma, and I'm moving this slightly different from the previous one. While we still talk about resources, the first one, they were more focused on activities. Students need, or teachers need, two things primarily in my mind. One is conceptual understanding, and one way to test the conceptual understanding. After that comes, the activity is very useful to bring the concept across. And I find that while there are fun activities to Chinma's point, on fun activities, fun lessons that students can do, when it comes down to buckling down and sitting down and reading literature, or watching videos that are really good that reinforce a concept, or finding good assessments that test the knowledge, good multiple choice questions, good short answers, good essay questions, and good answer keys for all of these. Those are more valuable, hard to come by, but there are some good ones, and mobile CSP is easily a leader in this area. So Chinma, let's start with you, ma'am, and then we move on to Pauline. If you can please share a few resources, and I will chime in as time passes as well.
Yeah, in terms of resources for the internet, like we mentioned before, I have found, I'll talk about assessment later, but I'll start with the resources. I've found the code.org video library very good. The video library is something that's colorful, nice, and really well done. And the students like it. And so students just like to do the video. And one of the things I do with the video library is I have a worksheet I give to students that asks them to, not only watch the video, we talk about who that's a worksheet they feel as they walk after watching the video. Who is the narrator? What did they say? What is it all about? What surprised you about this video? What would you have wanted to see in it? And then as in responding to those activities, they find themselves engaging in highlighting issues that we discuss in class. I think that whatever you do in today's classroom needs to involve real classroom discussion so students can keep it longer. That's one way they're expressing their knowledge just to you there, and then they're being able to also capture what they've done. Pauline mentioned it slightly before. One of the things about the internet, we may have an idea of how the internet works, but we don't know the terminologies that go along with the internet. So we want a place that spells out the words for us, highlights what's important, and also leads us through it. So the code.org video libraries I have found very, very good. And I understand there are videos that worksheets that go with them as they are, but I have my own worksheets I use. Outside that, to another great resource, which I think would be most useful to teachers as we're approaching the exam, is the Code HS curriculum. Code HS is really a wonderful thing you can use. Their work is really tuned to what CSP needs, and they are just focused videos that one can use to review. I know that some of their videos are slightly about 10 to 30 minutes long, some, and students, from my experience, don't like very long videos. But you can use it in the classroom, either show some in classroom or assign some as homework. But those capture a lot of what we do. And what I do is I can pair two students up to watch a particular video, and then halfway this person talks about, it's almost like pair programming. And you watch halfway, one person says what they got so far, and the other person can remind them, did you consider this, or did you consider that? That discussion helps internalize whatever they've learned. So the code.org video library, the Code HS, Mobile CSP has a good collection of videos, but I think that from my experience, Code HS is the most focused one on what the CSP wants, and I would recommend it that people look at it for especially reviewing in the last week.
Thank you, Chinma. You talked about Code HS. Is that a free resource? Do we just have to ask for user ID password, or do we have to pay for? Do teachers have to pay a subscription to get in?
Code HS, it depends. I think they have 4 levels of subscription. Depends on what you want. There is the free subscription where you don't pay anything, but if you need help and support with the work, then you choose the other levels of subscription depending on what you want. But as a teacher, their videos are both on their website, the teachers getting free, and also their YouTube videos, so you can also access them through YouTube. So depending on what your interests are. So I think I would encourage people to register for Code HS, look at their resources, and then see how much of it you want. Like I said before, we are lucky to have all these great people providing things for us, so we can choose to use it to strengthen what we do in our classrooms.
That's outstanding, Didi. I did not realize that Code HS had a teacher version that was free. I had seen on Facebook this week that somebody said Code HS had a really good practice exam, but I was not aware that they had also videos on YouTube that we just had to search for. That definitely is a very useful resource, and I'll be sure to mention it in the recap, but I would also emphasize on my recording, I would like to re-emphasize what Chinma said, because I think it's a very valuable resource, is to go to YouTube and look for Code HS, and there are plenty of videos there. Some of them are a little longer, but at least they serve as excellent resource points
Can you
for
hear me
teachers,
now?
if not for students. Betsy, I'd like,
Great.
I see a couple of
No, I
resources
just,
that you're mentioning and some ideas.
there were two things that are really good, and I'm thinking that maybe we need
for the good of the group, ma'am? Would you
to
be able to get on, unmute your mic and
create a bigger email group beyond just mobile CSP for CS for All. We have a tendency as the year progresses to say, hey, I'm teaching this section and I found this very good video. And people send out links, and it's really helpful. Pauline has incorporated a lot of those into the course, and then sometimes we just pick them up. In addition to that, I have times when I'll have a video, I'll have it marked so I only listen to 3 or 4 minutes of it because it tends to be a bit long-winded. And then I say to the kids, this is good, but is it great? And the kids will go, oh, no, it's not. I say, well, okay, I challenge you. Do you understand the basic concept? Yep. Okay, find me something better. And I'll give them 5 points on a low grade or something like that. And I've come up with a very large number of videos that way that are kind of cool. So don't assume that you're the only person that can look. There's also a cool one there that that Pauline put out on mobile CSP, which is how Google searches the web. And that's another one that I listen to it, and then when he starts talking about how good Google is, I turn it off.
That's a really good idea.
You know, how they respect everybody. So yeah, it's like he does it a few too many times, and I cut it off at that point. Okay, I'm gonna mute.
Oh, thank you so much, Betsy. Your input has been very valuable, and I think something that it's a really good idea. It's an activity by itself, right? Having students go and find good videos, show them the code.org video, and then ask them to go find something better or equal good and some different topic, and maybe even match it to a learning objective. Because to be honest, if you look at the curriculum framework, the Internet learning objectives are some of the most precise, to-the-point learning objectives that's easy to just very, very specifically go and look through them and find something. So, so those are really good ones. Okay, Pauline, you've been very, very busy. Oh, yeah, I did want to mention this, and I was thinking of it myself, and I really would like to thank Melissa for bringing this up. On the CS for All Teachers community, there is a CSP cross-curriculum project. If you have not gone to this site, and if you have not looked at the blog post, you're missing something. I don't know what I find more useful there. The conversations, the discussion posts, the articles, everything on that is very high quality and very useful, classroom ready, or for the teacher, as I say, the night before the classroom. Myra, we would love for you to share. Both of those are fantastic topics to please go ahead and would you please, ma'am, would you be able to come online with us and speak to us about those two, because I think you're right. And I have used both of those. Okay, so I was calling for Myra. Myra, feel free to interrupt me if you do come online, ma'am, but I'm going to tell you what Myra was saying. She says there's a Facebook page for CS principals. and she talks about Edpuzzle, and I love Edpuzzle. One of the best tools for annotating on videos. Because if you think about it, when you show a video to the students, there are points when you want to stop and give them instruction. Have you seen that? In fact, I think you should call in, Myra. That's what it is. So, and in fact, today in school, I was showing them a TED Talk on data visualization. And I found myself pausing every 2 minutes or 3 minutes to stop, make sure the student understood, and then move on. Now, what would be great is my thinking is use Edpuzzle and actually annotate at those points and have them watch as homework. And so
Yeah,
I do
just want to
think
quickly
certainly
add
that is
that
there.
there are
It
lots
looks
of
like
sites
mobile CSP
available
and
for
Melissa Raspberry already have a strong
pointing
connection, and
teachers
we're
and
looking at ways to
students
enrich our
to
community. So we
view
thank you.
information
Pauline, the
that
floor
can
is
be
yours as
used
you
in
wish
the
to share some
classroom.
resources with us,
So a
ma'am.
couple of the sites that we use things like global internet maps or broadband maps that show broadband access across the world, and helping to talk about the internet connections that are happening. And another one that we use is centralops.net. There are lots of network tools there that are free and online that you can try out and use as discussion starters. And the other one, lastly, that we use, not lastly, but just another one that we use is howstuffworks.com. So How Stuff Works is pretty nice to go and do a quick search to get more information about things like routers and messaging. So there are tools out there and sites out there that also provide good information as resources as well.
Pauline, you're absolutely right. I have a question that I'd like to ask you. Videos, while they're very good for students, I think the most valuable use of video is for a teacher.
I know a lot of the
When they're trying to make a
teachers, not
presentation and they're
personally
trying to have some
myself, but a
talking
lot of the
points,
teachers that I work
it's
with, they
excellent
look
for them to
to
skim through
like
a
TED
video, look through a
Talks to
PowerPoint, and
help
be ready for the next
give
day.
them background
Would you be
information
able to tell us
to help
one or
pull
two
from.
videos that you have found absolutely
Um,
outstanding
there was
that
another one
helped
that I
you
had in
create
mind, but
some
I'm
talking
blanking on
points
it. If
for the
if
class?
I find it, can I jump in and share it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Please just post it on the chat window, and even every single thing that you said, and even Betsy was mentioning how valuable your contributions. And I'm part of the mobile CSP group, and I benefit that as well from that as well. Chinma, any suggestions for good top number one, number two videos for teachers to look through and get some talking points in the classroom?
I think it depends on what you're teaching. That's it. You see, why I was talking about videos was I was looking at now we are coming to the end, so you want to remind students of key components. But otherwise, there are so many videos. Our project has a lot of videos for each topic we teach. There's a video that goes along with it, and there's the PowerPoint and other things that we do. But in terms of summarizing the work towards the end, I would, like I said before, prefer the Code HS thing. I look at video now as something that the words in the internet, I think the major problem with the internet is just remembering all the key words and the acronyms that go with it. And in terms of remembering them, asking students to watch a video about something they've done and to remind them of it. It's not a bad thing to do at this stage. That's yeah. So there are so many good videos. I think each of the projects has a good videos that go with the lesson. So I would say which topic and which project are you associated with. Look at what they have. If the video doesn't go well, or if you're not associated with a project, go to any of the projects, any of the endorsed projects at the College Board would have a video that's relevant to it, to that topic. And for the internet, the code.org video libraries are there, and the code HS is very good, and the mobile CSP videos are very good. The only reason I have this, there's a video that's good for teaching, for helping students understand a concept, and there is a different video for reminding people of what they have done. And those are the distinctions I'm making. In terms of teaching the concept, I'll go for the mobile CSP videos. In terms of reviewing, I'll go for the code HS or code.org videos. So that's where I am as at now. But you talked a little bit about assessment. How do we know what the students know? Is this something we want to talk about now or later?
Absolutely. Let's go right ahead and talk about assessments. I did want to address this as well, but we do have some time because we can stick with assessments as part of resources.
No,
so let's go ahead and talk about how do we know what the students know, and then we'll move on to pacing. I'm sorry, ma'am.
We can continue with your question 3.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with Pauline here. And though Pauline has this fantastic comment here, is while every single resource, so I think Pauline is reiterating what Chinma said, is whichever curriculum you follow, they have a bunch of resources that are good. Use them as the basic stuff and then go and find others that are other resources like CodeHS, Code.org. Code.org concept videos has bunch on internet. And then Pauline suggests
I think
Khan Academy.
The internet is
right?
one
That's
that
a good one as well. Okay.
it's one
so
that the
Pauline, may I
students
give the floor to you, ma'am?
can learn
When do
about
you
as
recommend would be
as
the
they
best
go.
time in the
So
school year to
mobile
teach
CSP,
the internet piece?
for
And how long?
example,
What
we
should be the
try
window
as
they should
much
be
as
used to be
possible
teaching this?
not to put one topic in one unit. And the internet seems to be the one that we haven't done the best job of spreading it out yet, but we're working on it. I think it's, you want at the beginning of the school year, before students start getting on the computer, which they have to do. They have to go online to do emailing, to sign into the College Board site. They have to be familiar with using the internet for those purposes. So even just starting at the beginning to introduce them to the terms and what the difference is between the internet and the www, like right from the beginning, at the beginning of the school year. The other more intensive topics under the internet, like cryptography, as Chimera was talking about earlier, those I think, at the very lowest level, you could introduce those early, but I feel from what I've seen that the students get a better understanding of how they work and how cryptography works when they have a better understanding of algorithms. So teaching that after algorithms. So a lot of the other topics give a lot of the background that's needed to understand in depth the detailed part of the internet. But introductory terms, and there's a lot of terms, again, as Chima was saying with the internet, are good to introduce in the beginning. So while you may not get into specific details, just getting them used to using the correct terminology when they say, oh, I'm going to get on the internet, knowing what to say and what refers to what in the proper terminology to use in the beginning is always a good thing. And again, I would suggest saving the heavier math topics and algorithm topics in regards to the internet till later after you've covered the other parts of CSP.
That's fantastic. I wanted to take a minute to actually emphasize what Pauline said was a good focus in which mobile CSP was going, is to not focus on one area, but try to make every topic weave into the other. That's a challenge. That's hard, but very, very, very needed. And if you succeed in that, that's nothing like that. I wanted to take a minute to mention that I typically teach this right in fall. In fact, that's what I've done in every one of my pilots, and I did that this year as well. I start with the programming piece, and then an algorithm and programming piece, and then I go right into the internet. I do have them do a little bit of HTML, and depending on the background of the class that I have at that year, I do have them do a little bit of web design if needed by using HTML and JavaScript, or I have them just straight away just do a whole lot of videos and activities on the internet. I have to agree that vocabulary is a very big one. And in fact, as I speak, I have created like a review sheet of vocabulary terms because while the AP exam does not test definitions, that's absolutely not AP-like. The goal is to get them familiar with the terms so that they know how to use it correctly. So knowing the vocabulary, I agree, Pauline, that would be very, very useful. And as far as time is concerned, I have found anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. And after that, the kids get antsy and itchy for getting back on the computer and wanting to do something. So if I don't have the website development component, not more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks can I successfully get them to stay on a topic. And then, even doing research or
kind
writing,
of a little boring.
They need to get back and do either
and
a PowerPoint
when I
or
want
a
the kids to
or,
review it, I use
or
Quizlets.
maybe a Photoshop
I am absolutely floored by the fact that high school kids will go through a vocab list 20 times to get the highest score on or the lowest time on Quizlets.
I do. Chinma, the floor is yours.
They are so competitive.
Betsy, did you want to take the
and it's a good way to just get them to go through it and kind of attach stuff together.
And then Chinma,
it's funny. They're funny doing stuff like that. I attribute it to video games.
Good point. Good point. Absolutely. Yeah, Quizlet. I have actually seen, I haven't used Quizlet myself, but I was once in a Spanish teacher's class just watching, and it was amazing to see them use Quizlets. Myra asks if you can share your Quizlet. Again, if you would put it in the window or email it to me, Betsy, I will put it in the resource file. Kahoot is a very good one. Yes, Pauline, the Kahoot I have actually used very successfully. Chinma, the floor is yours, ma'am, please. As time is running out and we have only a few more minutes, please, a very important topic is to share with us your insight on when should this be taught and how long should you spend teaching.
I agree with Pauline. I try to weave it in from day one in my class as much as I can, because I just believe that these topics should not be taught in isolation. So we, for mobile CSP, we use App Inventor. So students have to create an account, a Google account, and then they create their project, their app. When they create their app, the discussions about where is it stored on your computer. That's where, so you get into the cloud. You talk about I just use it gradually to bring in the concepts because I want the students to be comfortable talking about those topics, not just remembering what, memorizing it, but being a part of their vocabulary, hopefully, that they will be able, when they write, they are explorers, they'll be able to use words that show that they are part of a class. So so because they create apps, they do save their data, and we have a tiny DB and other things that show the difference between storing on your phone and storing on the cloud. So all those discussions come into the internet part of things, and also cryptography. So it's woven in all through. But if it's formal class lessons, go onto our Unit 7 at the end. But there is a thread that gets through getting the students to see most of the work. So I try to see if I can get them to learn them as they go along and then come later. A few things I wanted to highlight before we finish was in terms of assessment and the tools we use for an inclusive classroom. There is the CSPD week, which takes place usually in the summer, and it's for CSP teachers. I know it's after the AP. One of the things one gets from that place is really how to teach in an inclusive classroom. So I have certain materials I use to help my students talk and share what they know. And that's one of them is what we call the debate carousel. So I'm looking at how I monitor immediate feedback and how I know where the students are as I'm teaching and as I'm going along. To get involved the whole class. I actually at times post a video. I could post a video in a link in a Google Doc and ask students to watch and comment. And before you write, you read what, if somebody else writes before you, you read what they've written, and then you comment based on that. But it's really, I want them to be able to relate it to themselves. What surprised you? What's good? And from those comments, you can get a feel as to what makes sense to them and what doesn't.
Sounds fantastic, Didi. This is great. I would like at this point to, before I hand the mic over, I did want to take a minute and talk about very quickly, and just really quickly, Didi, if you have some assessment points to make, let us know, and I will definitely be add that to the resource one before we finish up. This has been an absolutely interesting and very, very useful webinar. Would you have any assessment ideas that you think we should use?
The only thing, one of the documents, you see, the exams in terms of the AP is based on the learning objectives. And so if you took when I do a debate carousel, I use a topic like I could say, transactions on the internet are secure. If you give such a thing, then you expect students to argue for and against it. So what does it mean by transactions on the internet are secure? You expect that if a kid has an understanding of public key encryption, they may be able to, cryptography, they may be able to speak in its positive, and some other keys can speak against it. So getting students to be involved in debates on taking a learning objective and writing something general is really good. But we have quizzes too for our project, and I think the other projects have quizzes too, and those are assessment ideas. And also there is the sample assessment put out by the College Board, which is online, and it's something teachers can use to gauge where their students are. Or you teach a topic, you take a question from there, or you give the sample question as a goal to gauge where they are and what you need to reteach or what you need to revisit.
That's very, very helpful, Katie. At this point, I would like to thank Pauline and Chinma for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure. Again, Pauline, thank you for stepping in. You have been incredible. I don't even know if the webinar would have been as useful as it has been without your presence. Chinma, thank you. Thank you for inviting Pauline over. Thank you for thinking of her. And thank you for yourself being so available. As soon as you said you would do this with me, I immediately knew that this webinar was going to be an outstanding success. You are a genuine gem, and we're very, in the computer science education community, is very grateful for you. Thank you, Didi. I would like to thank everybody who came in here today. The interaction was very good and very, very useful. We all learned a lot. Finally, I would like to take a minute to thank our awesome Melissa Raspberry. Committed, hardworking, diligent, perseverant, and just committed to doing our absolute best. This is my fourth year of knowing Melissa personally, and I've not known a single time that she has, not done next to perfect work. And we're really grateful because these webinar series have proven to be highly successful, very popular, and many people go back and listen to the webinars, and they are highly discussed upon in Facebook discussion forums. And I really do thank AIR for their efforts, and particularly Melissa Raspberry for carrying the torch for us. So the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much, Deepa, that you are too kind. I feel very lucky that we connected so many years ago, and you have been a terrific facilitator of these webinars, so thank you so much. As you see on the screen here, we do have a couple more webinars this month. It's been a busy month. We're having one webinar per week. Next week, the terrific folks from NC WIT are going to come and share about the resources and programs that they have available. And then the final week of the month, Gail Chapman is going to be leading a discussion around reflecting on the year and kind of taking your lessons learned and thinking toward the future and planning for next steps. So it's not specific. I know Gail is a champion for ECS, but it's not specific to that course. So those of you that are CSP teachers are welcome to join that as well. If you aren't a member of the CS for All Teachers community, we do invite you to join in. As I mentioned in the chat window earlier, we not only have resources that you can drill down to, that you can search in the community, but we also have a CSP open group for all teachers in PSP to come together. So we encourage you to join us there. And without